First, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So my name's Todd Reimer. I'm from Saskatoon. And what I'm doing right now is I'm a leadership coach and trainer for leaders in the trades. So supervisors, foremen, superintendents, even business owners. I spend time training men and women in leadership, primarily in trades. And I interact, usually meetings like this are spent Monday mornings at 6:30 with a bunch of grumpy contractors, so you're a nice treat. Before that, I've been a youth pastor for 11 years. That was a few years ago already. But maybe most importantly, I'm a husband and I'm a dad. So I've got 3 kids, or we have 3 kids. They're all just about to turn ages. Our oldest is going to be 29. Our next one is going to be 21. She's at a Bible college. And our youngest, he's just about 19. He's working for a framing company right now and loving what he's doing. Yesterday we flew in from Saskatoon and we flew over a pretty good chunk of Canada. And as I was looking out the windows of the planes, I guess one plane. It was a direct flight, thankfully. But I noticed something, and it struck me. We've forgotten something as Canadians. As I flew over 3 provinces, we've forgotten that we need each other. Because as I talk with people from across Canada, and I train people from Manitoba all the way to BC, and a little bit down into the US as well. But I hear people in each province going, oh yeah, we're the best. Oh yeah, this other province sucks. And the reality is, we need each other. We've forgotten that we're a country. And let's broaden that a little bit more. We've forgotten that as North Americans, we need each other as well. Right now, there's a lot of back and forth between the US and Canada. And even if our leaders have forgotten it, we can't forget it, that we need each other. And in the church, that's often the case too. We don't recognize how much we need each other. God's given each one of us different gifts and abilities, and we need each other. It's not an option in the church. There's something called the OECD. It's the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. They're an international organization that ranks countries based on their economic productivity, their GDP. And they came out with a report. It comes out every year. And then they also rank countries based on the education of their grade 12 students. And so they came out with a ranking. And we were included in that because they were ranking advanced countries around the world. And any idea, how did Canada make out? Where did we think we ended up in that ranking of productivity, economic productivity in the world? Dead last. No lie. And they said, we're going to probably stay there for the next 30 years because of some of the political policies that are being put in place. And they also ranked our students, our grade 12 grads. And this kind of surprised me a little bit. So the average Canadian and North American graduate from grade 12, they are a year behind the rest of the countries that they were ranking as far as the sciences and literacy goes. And when it came to math, our students are 2 years behind. So I hear a lot of people right now saying, oh, Canada, we're the best. I'm like, oh no, we're not. In actuality, productivity-wise, economically, we suck. There's no other way to say it. We are not in a good spot. Our students coming out of high school, literacy rates now are half of what they were in 1948. In the time of Shakespeare, as much as I hated Shakespeare in high school and in university, I never enjoyed having to read him, but in his time, the people in his day had command of, I think it was 60,000 words in their vocabulary. Today in Canada, 30,000 is average. We hear lots, oh, we're way smarter. You know, we're so smart because we can use this thing. This is one of the worst things for you, honestly. It's bad enough for my generation. I'm Gen X. So I'm kind of right at the upper end of that. But it's terrible because it addicts us, people my generation. For you, it devastates a generation. And the generation below you, the younger ones, it's even worse. Our attention spans have gone like this. Our productivity as people has decreased. So how does that affect us as Christians? What does that mean for someone who follows Christ? What does that mean for us in the workforce? I lost my glasses. It's one of the hazards of getting older, hey? It's good to get older, it means I'm not dead, but at the same time, I can't see anything without these. And now I can't see you, but I can read my notes. So I'll fake it that I can see you. I know you're out there, because I can hear some of you. Now, the reality is with Canada, as a country, we should be one of the, if not the wealthiest country in the world. If you look at the resources that we have as a nation, unbelievable, but we're not. So am I saying that money is the way that we should evaluate whether we're a success or not? Oh, not at all. No, it's just an indicator. It's just a way to evaluate where we are and how we're handling and stewarding that part of what God's given us as a country. And apparently we're not doing all that great with it. This is what happens when we forget what's foundational as a country. That what's foundational as a country is that we're a country. We need each other, and we need to be working together. Now, as believers and followers of Christ, we can forget as well that God has a calling on our lives. And this is what's foundational to us as believers, is that God has a calling on your life. And one of the things that at your age and in late high school that we try to figure out is, what should I be doing? What does God want me to be doing? The reality is, he's got a call on your life. And I want to talk about that this morning and what matters most to him about that call. You see, your life is not an accident. You're not just floating through life, and hopefully you find something that gives you some meaning. God has a call on your life. You're going to need to find out what that is, but he has that call, and he wants you to be successful in it. When we forget, though, we end up with a problem, because we forget what's most obvious, and we forget our purpose. I read something that a friend of mine wrote. It was just on a post this weekend. And he's the principal of a school. He makes good money. He has a good life. He has a good family. He's fit. He's active. If you look at him, he would seem successful. And he follows Christ. But here's what he wrote. He said, keeping in mind that in his mind, Jesus and God were kind of out there, he said our only real recourse is an absurdist perspective. An absurdist perspective. In my head, I could kind of define it for myself, but I thought, I don't know how to define it to you. So here's what he's talking about. Well, okay. From an absurdist perspective, life is inherently meaningless and devoid of inherent purpose, and our attempts to find meaning are often futile, leading to a sense of conflict and frustration. So absurdism, as a philosophical viewpoint, posits that the universe is irrational and meaningless, and that humans are constantly striving for meaning in a world that offers them none. The core tenet of absurdism is the belief that life is without inherent meaning and purpose. He is someone that should have incredible purpose. Not only is he successful in the world's eyes, but he knows Christ. He purports to follow Christ. But in his mind, it's all meaningless. As a believer, life is not meaningless. And what we do in the workplace is not meaningless. We live in a society where the thinking is, and the teaching has been, and this is, you've been misled, that work is a necessary evil in life. Work is not a necessary evil in life. It's one of the things that God has designed us to do, and he wants us to do it successfully and to do it well. So that's where I want to go this morning with this. What is the Christian's calling in the workplace? Well, here's what it is. You need to start Bible studies. You need to be preaching in the workplace. And you need to be handing out Bibles to everybody who will take them, whether they want them or not. No, not at all. Are those things bad? They're not bad. But in most workplaces, that's not what you want to be doing. So what does it mean to follow Christ in the workplace, to be a Christian in the workplace? How do we do it? At a time when the society around us is becoming increasingly confrontational and against Christians and Christ and our beliefs. How do we do that? How do we bring Christ into the workplace? How do we follow Christ in the workplace? What does he want with us? What does that look like? Well, the good thing is Jesus was intensely practical when he was here on earth. If you say he was philosophical, he wasn't philosophical. He posed deep questions to people that they had to think about, but he was intensely practical. He was a carpenter. The men and the women around him, many of them were tradespeople. They worked with their hands. They were very practical. Life and what he taught had to be practical. And so this morning we're going to look at some practical ways that we can follow Christ and what is his calling in the workplace for us. Because the reality is, and this is made to sound bad, it's like, okay, you go to school for 18 years. Okay, I didn't enjoy that either. But then you work for the next 40, and then you retire, and then you get like a motorhome, and you travel to Florida a couple times, and then you die. And they make it sound like, oh yeah, you got to go to work. It's terrible. It's horrible, but put up with it because you get to retire. Really? People ask me, when are you going to retire? I'm like, I hope I never do. Why would I want to retire from doing something that I enjoy and that I've become good at and that I can make a difference in this world doing? Do you have to do what I'm doing? Do you have to do what Aaron does, what Blake does to make a difference in the world? Hardly. You can make a difference in your sphere that a pastor can never touch. When I was a pastor, there's people that I could never get into their lives. They wouldn't let me in. Now, I get into their lives every day. They tell me about what's going on, what's causing them stress. I do weddings for people who have no idea who God is. I do funerals at times for people who have no idea or had no idea who God is. You're going to be able to have those influences well. Maybe you'll be a pastor, but probably not. But you're going to be a Christian, you're going to be someone who follows Christ, and you're going to make an impact wherever you are. Whether you're an employee or whether you're an entrepreneur or you own your own business. Because we need all of them. It's not just about, I'm not talking this morning about how do you be a good employee? No, because the reality is you want to be the best employee, but how do you run a business well? How do you be the best entrepreneur out there? If that's what God's calling you to do, how do you be the best? Because that's what we should be. We're going to take a look at a couple passages. As Christians, we're not called to go through life and kind of do a little bit of work and then float. We should be at all our kids' hockey practices, at all their dance recitals, at all their dance practices, and every time they play a musical instrument, we should be there listening. That is not the life that you're called to. Is it bad to be at our kids' events? No. I was at mine, but not all of them. They understood, and as a people, we've been misled that, you know what, if you're going to be a good parent, and you're going to be parents one day, that you need to be at everything that your kids do or else you're failing. No. Not at all. One of the things God calls us to do is to provide for our families and to work hard. That is being a good parent as well. Watching our kids play sports and that sort of thing, that's important. It's good, it's fun, but it's not the main thing. There's times you're not going to be there and you don't need to feel guilty because God has called you to provide for your family. God has called you, whatever you do, to work hard and to do a good job at it. This morning we want to talk about, there's 3 tools that we're going to look at. And I'm going to try to be practical with these. They come out of a book that I wrote called Fill the Gap. How I say Gen Z because Gen Z just sounds weird. It doesn't sound as neat in my head. So Gen Z, how Gen Z can enter the workforce with competence and with confidence. Because with what I do is I'm coaching and training supervisors, foremen, and owners of businesses and managers, is I saw an intense frustration. And I was getting more and more of them coming to me going, Todd, what do I do? How do I lead this youngest generation? I'm struggling. I had a call. I do some training for town and municipal foremen and water treatment operators. And I had one call me, and he was just desperate. He's like, Todd, he's probably about my age, and he's like, Todd, I need a course. I need some classes. Okay, what about? I need to know how to lead this younger generation. He'd been called by his bosses, the council, into the office for a meeting. And they're like, look, you had some summer students. They were all around your age. And they were university students, first or second year. And this guy, he's a town foreman. So he deals with everything from roads to water treatment to getting rid of the wastewater that comes out of your house, to making sure the grass is cut in their community, and on and on and on. And he was told this. He said, okay, from now on, his name's Curtis, I can tell you, because he was several provinces over, you'll never meet him. His council said, Curtis, from now on, so they had, just before she finished, one of the university students came and complained to council. And this was their response to him. He's a good guy. He was really trying, but they said, you cannot give her expectations anymore about what you expect. And number two, you can't check her work anymore. And number three, when you're talking to her, you have to talk to her in a monotone voice, no emotion, because otherwise she is hurt and offended. And I was waiting for the punchline, honestly. I'm like, okay, when's he going to say, gotcha, I'm just kidding. It never came. That's what I'm seeing out there. And so I wrote a book called Fill the Gap, because the gap is the difference between what an employer needs and expects when they hire someone, or when a customer hires you or hires your business, and what they expect and what your generation as a whole is actually bringing into the workforce. There's a gap in between those two things, and that's what's causing a ton of problems right now. But your generation, I totally see the potential in you. I got 3 kids in your generation, and a lot of the people that I coach are your age, and there's huge potential, as much as any generation ever. But there's some things that the education system hasn't passed on to you, that potentially parents haven't passed on, that you just need to fill that gap. And so that's where my book came from. And that's where this morning we're going to touch on a bit. Because right now, just to put this in perspective, 40% of all employers in North America don't want to hire your generation because of the experience they've had. In the last 30 days, 60% of them have fired someone from your generation. 74% in a recent survey said that this is the most difficult generation to lead and manage in the workplace. There's a lot of frustration. Is that terrible? It is, but what it means for you is there's a ton of opportunity for you. For someone your age who stands out, wow, talk about an opportunity. And I talked with a number of you last night and this morning, and a number of you are in trades. And I'm going to do a quick plug for trades here. Right now, there's a ton of people retiring out of the trades, whether it's carpentry, mechanics, whatever it is. Electricians, plumbers. For every 7 people retiring, there's only 1 person coming in. So that means wages are going up. The demand for someone who knows what they're doing is going to be huge. You get paid to go to school, and you make money the whole time. And I'm not here to plug trades, but I will, because it's counselors for so long, since I was in high school, were saying if you have any amount of brains, you got to go to university. Trade school is just for dummies. And it's like, oh, no. The smartest people I know are in trades. They have to be able to take something from up here and make it work here and actually function in the real world. So if you're smart and you have any aptitude with your hands, think of the trades. The wages are increasing. They're already high. Someone coming out was talking with, it was an electrician back home. And no, it was a heavy-duty mechanic, actually, young guy, 22. And he's in his 2nd or 3rd year apprenticeship. And he said when he finishes and gets his journeyman's, he's going to be able to get a job in a mine or something, $65 an hour starting. And tons of bonuses and benefits. So the opportunities for you are huge. But what do you have to do to take advantage of them? What do you have to do to become one of those exceptions that so many employers don't even want to touch? But you want to be one of those exceptions. What do you have to do? There's 3 things I want to talk about this morning. I realized I had I thought I had 45 minutes, and then Blake was like, no, you get the full hour. And he said, are you going to have enough material? I'm going, yeah, usually this course is 3 hours. So I had to cut a ton out. So I was like, okay, but the extra 15 minutes, it still isn't enough. So I'm not going to be able to give you everything I'd like to. But we're going to cover 3 things, maybe 4, that you can do to set yourself apart. And this is a part of bringing Christ with you and being a Christian in the workplace. Because the reality of it is, if you have a Bible, turn to 1 Corinthians, please. 1 Corinthians chapter 10. Verse 31 to 33. Says this, so whatever you eat or drink or whatever you do it all for the glory of God. Don't cause anyone to stumble. Then he goes on and on. Whatever you do it for the glory of God. This includes the work that we do. Do it to God's glory. We're going to look at Colossians. If you have, again, turn to Colossians, if you would, chapter 3, please. I think it's chapter 3. And we're going to look at some verses there that take this idea and expand it into what this looks like in the workplace. The Bible isn't a theoretical book. The Bible is intensely practical. If you're wanting something, a book that's just going to go, oh yeah, here's a neat way to think about things and you might want to turn this over in your mind, don't read the Bible. God's intensely practical. He's going to go, here's the problem, right here. Here's what you might want to change. Here's how I want you to live. And it's going to be practical. And in Colossians, here's what we read. Chapter 3, starting at verse 22. Slaves, obey your earthly masters in everything, and do it not only when their eye is on you, but to win their favor, but with sincerity of heart and reverence for the Lord. Okay, we're not slaves. And don't see yourself, people talk about going to work and being an employee as a slave. Well, maybe if they're doing it just putting in time to get a paycheck so they can play on the weekends, okay, then maybe they're just a slave those 8 hours. But if you see it differently, how God wants you to see your job and what you do, you're never a slave. Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart as working for the Lord, not for men. So does anybody else have a different translation? Here, mine, it says work at it with all your heart. Anybody have a different translation? What does it say?
Work heartily.
Great, thank you. That says it well. Anybody else? Work heartily? Yeah. Work cheerfully. Yeah, another translation, I can't remember which one it was I was reading, said wholeheartedly. Whatever you do, work at it, kind of what you were saying, wholeheartedly. Not just play at it, not just, okay, here's the reality. When I'm talking to an employer, I'll say, you figure out just how much you have to pay somebody so they won't quit. And you'll pay them that much. The problem is they will figure how much they have to do, how much work they have to do just to keep from getting fired. And then they'll do that, but a little bit less. Jesus is saying something, Paul is saying something, God is teaching us here something very different. He's saying, no, work at it wholeheartedly. Even if your employer isn't in the room with you, even if they're not looking over your shoulder, work at it wholeheartedly. The assumption is when the supervisor leaves a room or leaves a site or leaves the office or whatever the case is, that the people working with them or for them, their productivity goes from here to here. And it's obvious, you can see it. Try going to a store sometime or a restaurant and there's no supervisor right there. And service is terrible in most places right now. Jesus is saying, or God is saying here, no, that's not how I want you to work. Whatever you do it wholeheartedly. I think there's another verse in there we want to read before we move on a bit. Okay, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward, it is the Lord Christ you are serving. So this changes how we view work. Someone hires you, you're not doing it just for them. You're doing it for Christ. Do it wholeheartedly as if you're doing it for Christ. It changes how we view our jobs. It changes how we view our businesses completely. It's not about a matter of going and putting in time to collect a paycheck because my real life happens after hours. No, that is real life. That's a big part of it. If you look at it just from a practical perspective, why would anybody in their right mind want to spend 8 to 10 hours of their day for 40 years doing something they don't like and they don't do well, and they're just putting in time? What a waste of life. How many people have you ever, actually I'll ask you to show your hands. Let's put up your hands to this one. How many of you have heard somebody say, yeah, I can just counting the days down till retirement. What a stupid thing to say. Thanks. You can't say the word retarded, but it's retarded. I'm sorry. I will never call somebody who's mentally challenged retarded because it's not. But somebody who's fine up here and they're acting like they're stupid, they're retarded. And this way of thinking and living is. Who would want to live that way? Yeah, okay, good thing. I think Blake already paid me my money for this and my flights. So, okay, you can tell him. It's all good. But why would we want to live your life? Why would you want to live your life that way? There should be more meaning to it, shouldn't there? That's a horrible way to spend. It doesn't matter what people do. There are doctors, there are lawyers, there are dentists, there are nurses, there are teachers who hate what they do. And they're putting in time because I got a great pension. I'm like, okay, you're going to be 65. The whole idea of the golden years, that's a joke. It's just a finance commercial to tell people that they need to retire at 55 or 65 or whatever, and the golden years are amazing. The golden years suck. My parents are early 80s. Their lives are not great anymore. My dad has a bad back. He can hardly walk most days. He just had cataract surgery. My mom can't hear anything anymore. And on and on and on. Life doesn't get better as you get old. Why wouldn't you want to enjoy what you do and make a difference where you're at? And it all starts up here. One of you asked me yesterday, what would you do different now if you could go back? What would you start sooner than you did? And that was a great question, and it got me thinking. And my response was nothing. I wouldn't do anything different, but I would change how I thought about it. I would change my mindset. How I would deal with failure, how I would deal with things when they didn't go right. I would change what happened between my ears. And for you, if you can change that, but from a heart perspective, where what you do and are going to do for a career or your business or your job, that you do it to the glory of God and you're doing it to Christ and doing it wholeheartedly. Because we ask, how do we bring Christ into the workplace? That's how, by standing out, by being the person that an employer or a coworker looks at and goes, wow. Or a customer looks at and goes, we've never been treated this way before. That's how you stand out. That's how you get credibility to actually talk about Christ in the workplace. To come in and preach and talk and hand out Bibles, I'm sorry. But if we're one of the ones who are counting down the minutes till coffee break, and we're taking an extra 10, 15 minutes on coffee break or lunch, or we're showing up late in the morning, that's not how we gain credibility to talk about Christ in the workplace. And that doesn't bring satisfaction to your life and meaning to your life either. You can have an impact on people regardless of what you do. You're going to do jobs, I'll guarantee you're going to do jobs that you're going to hate. And you're going to know, this sucks. It does. But do it to the best of your ability. Do it wholeheartedly. It's going to pass. But you're going to stand out. Many times the people who do those things get the opportunity later on to do something different. Because here's a truth. The people who stand out, the people who are the best at what they do, have options. There's lots of talk about layoffs and all that all the time. The economy is like this. It just is. We have good politicians, we got crappy politicians. Okay, usually we got poor ones, but kind of joking, kind of not. But we can't control that. We can't control the economy. You can control whether you have options inside a good or bad economy, because the people who are the best at what they do, and that should be us. We should be the best in any field, in any industry, because we work hard and we are trying to get better and we're working for our Lord. We should be the best. We should be the ones who are the last to get laid off. We should be the ones who get the raises. We should be the ones who get the promotions because we're the best at and have options. You should be the best at what you do. If we follow Christ, that's part of what it means. Okay, so I kind of diverted back a little bit. What are the three tools I want to talk about now that you can bring into practice that will help you fill that gap and will help you, in a sense, bring Christ into your workplace, whatever that looks like? The first one deals with conflict. A Christian should always avoid conflict. How do you feel about that? Well, that's a dumb thing to say. As Christians, we should be leading conflict in the workplace. We should be the ones helping people deal with conflict well. It's a biblical concept. Jesus taught us how to deal with conflict in Matthew. So often as Christians, we have the perspective, we should be nice. No, Jesus wasn't nice. He was not nice. He was good and he was loving, but he was not nice many times. People wouldn't describe, he's this nice guy. No, he wasn't. There were people who killed him for a reason because they didn't like him. He offended them. He pushed them hard. He challenged them. And as believers, we should be the ones leading that conflict many times, help leading it productively in the workforce. Most people avoid it. I'll give you a quick hint how to see conflict that could change the way you deal with it from now on. For my wife sitting up here on the end, in our 10th anniversary a number of years ago, I surprised her with a trip to Hawaii. I've never done anything like that before. I had my own construction company. We had a good summer, so we went. And we were there and we were driving around the island and in a Jeep with no top on it. It was beautiful. Hawaii is awesome. It was amazing. And it started to rain. No big deal. It usually passed within a few minutes and it was warm, but it started to get cold. It started lightning and to thunder and it became miserable. I was going to pull over and put the top up on the Jeep, but I saw a tunnel in a mountain ahead of us. And so I kept driving and I got into there. Came out the other side and it was a beautiful sunny day. We had gone from a miserable place to a beautiful sunny day. The only thing we did was drive through a tunnel. Conflict is that tunnel. All it does, it takes us from here where things are in upheaval and a mess, and we go through that conflict, and if we lead it well, we come out to the other side. It may not be a bright sunny day, but it's going to be at least on its way to being better than where we started. And as a believer, we need to be willing to walk through that tunnel. And the more you do it, the more confidence you're going to have in doing it. I wasn't afraid to go through that tunnel, not at all. I knew enough, I'd been through enough in Alberta and BC, through the mountains, and in Idaho and Montana, that I wasn't afraid. I'd been through enough of those things to know there might be lights and there might not be. I might have to turn my lights on. There might be a lot of traffic, there might not be. I didn't know that, but I knew that they didn't stop that tunnel halfway through the mountain and I was going to hit that wall. And it's the same with conflict. As you enter that and go through it enough times, your skills are going to increase and you're going to be able to do it with confidence. As believers, we should be the ones initiating it. I just had to deal with someone, he's around my age, a little bit younger, but he's a Christian, and in where he worked, he was having a rough go of it. He didn't deal with the conflict with some of his customers that he should have. He ignored their phone calls, he ignored the issues, he didn't call them back, he didn't deal with the people he was supervising. There was conflict with them and he would ignore their calls, he wouldn't deal with it. This went on for like a year or two. He ended up losing the company that he was working for millions of dollars. And by the time that he was done, the people in that company didn't respect him. Now, on a personal level, this guy's a great guy. Like, you would love him. I love him. I love spending time with him. But his ability to talk to people about Christ where he worked was gone because he didn't deal with conflict. Now, to be frank, most of the people who are in that company aren't Christians and they don't deal with conflict either. It's just it looked really bad for him because he loved the people he worked with and he wanted to talk to them about Christ, but he didn't have that opportunity. As believers, we need to be able to lead conflict. How do we do that? Some tools. Some keys to conflict. Number one, treat people with respect. That's a biblical concept right there. Jesus was harsh at times, but there was a respect, or he gave people a common dignity that they were one of God's creations. Now, just a quick sidebar. Well, how am I doing for time? Oh, shoot. Okay, I'm going to have to speed it up. I'm going to say this anyway. What was it? This is one of the hazards of getting older, and then my mind takes a vacation once in a while. Oh, yeah, okay. It doesn't always come, sometimes it comes back. We hear some people say, we're all God's children. No, we're not. The whole world is not God's children. If you follow Jesus Christ and are adopted into God's family because of what Christ did, you are his child. The people who haven't, they are not his children. They're his creation, and he loves them dearly, but they are not his children. Give people the respect that they deserve as God's creation. He loves them. He desperately wants them to know him and to be his children. So respect is a part of how do we lead that conflict. Self-control. Controlling our emotions and ourselves is huge in conflict. It gives us the ability to lead through some hard situations. How many of you are in trades of one sort or another? Okay, how do a lot of people in trades handle stress and conflict? Yeah, effing this, blah, blah, blah. How can you be so stupid? I can't believe you're so dumb. That's a normal day for a lot of us. As a believer, we don't do that. We control ourselves. 1 Timothy, you have not received a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and self-control. That's a part of following Christ. If we learn to control ourselves and our emotions, we can lead conflict. And we're going to stand out. And you're going to be able to help those people who lose their control gain their control, or at least lead them. Even if they're your boss, the person who stays the most in control is the one who leads the conversation. Learn to control your emotions and what you say. The next one is have a purpose. Remember, there's a purpose to that conflict. If you can keep that in mind, you will be the one leading that conflict, even if you're not the boss. You're going to be able to ask questions and throw out things that people aren't thinking about if you remember what the purpose is. The purpose is to resolve the issue. It's not to make myself look good, or it's not to make that other person look stupid, or to vent. It's never the purpose of conflict. As a believer, this is a very practical way you can stand out and that you will bring Christ into the workforce, is by leading conflict effectively. It's hard. It's super uncomfortable. Being a Christian's uncomfortable. When is it ever comfortable following Christ? He didn't intend it to be comfortable. In this world, you will have many troubles. This world is going to hate you because they hated me. He gave us ample warning. We're not going to be comfortable. So step into it. Be the one willing to step into conflict and to do it well. The second tool that I want to look at is this. You are not a victim. Take responsibility for where you are and where you want to be. Coming through our public education systems, I don't know if you did or not, but everybody's a flippin' victim. And I'm like, no. We need to take responsibility for who we are, and where we want to go. You're not a victim. I've got a friend, he's not a Christian, but he's the band leader on a reserve just outside of Saskatoon. And it was I don't know about Ontario, but in Saskatchewan and Alberta, you've got some good reserves, you've got some okay ones, and then you've got some where you wouldn't want a dog to live. Like, they're terrible. There's a lot of abuse, there's a lot of violence, there's a lot of drug and alcohol abuse as well. This one was it was a rougher reserve. And my friend, his name's Darcy, he got elected as band leader. And he completely turned that place around. If you go through it now, it's like you'll get a very distinct visual impression. It's clean everywhere. Everywhere. It looks cleaner than most small towns in Saskatchewan, or even here in Ontario as we were driving yesterday. Everything is neat and tidy. The people it's almost 100% employment on that reserve. They have tons of businesses that they've started. They're starting more. They're doing more. And I was sitting down with them and I'm like, what did you do? I'm fascinated. what did you do? He said, well, when we got elected, him and the council, we had a town meeting. Everybody had to be there. He said, we told them, no more excuses. You are not a victim. We're going to take responsibility for where we are and where we want to be. And the people off this reserve are our partners from now on, not our enemy. That completely changed, not just the surroundings on a reserve, but changed the people's lives. I did a wedding there a while ago, and the employees are from the reserve it's a casino event center kind of thing. Unbelievably helpful. They had no idea who I was, but crazy helpful. Better than any employees in Saskatoon that I'd run into in a similar environment. They took responsibility. Take responsibility for who you are, for where you are right now and where you want to be and where God wants you to go. Because God's not going to go, here's my plan for your life. Now you just put everything in neutral on autopilot and I'm going to take you where. It's not how God works. He might give us a clear indication of what his plan is for our lives. But then he's like, here's what I want you to do. Now take it. I've given you gifts, abilities, and talents. Now go use them. Be faithful to me. Do what I've asked you to do and use what I've given you. And do it wholeheartedly like you're doing it for me. So don't see yourself as a victim. There's a book written by Abigail Schreier. It's called Bad Therapy. And she talks about how in North America, so many people, especially your age, have gone through and are going through therapy. And she said it's wrecking people because they go over and over and over and over and over and over the same problems in their lives and they never move past them. Or they get medicated and they never move past their problems. You are not a victim. Has someone victimized you? Oh, quite possibly. We live in a world that's broken and hurting and hurts each other and damages each other. But you don't have to see yourself or live as a victim. Christ wants to set us free from that. Doesn't mean there's not going to be pain. Doesn't mean there hasn't been pain in your life. There probably has been. And if there hasn't been, there will be. Someone will try to victimize you. Guaranteed. But don't see yourself as a victim. You don't have to stay in that downward spiral. You can make choices. Well, how do we do that? What do we need to do? Well, the first thing we need to do is take action. Don't just sit back and wait for God to fix everything. He's not going to fix everything. He gives us what we need to do what he's asked us to do. Take action. And you're going to start to work your way out of that mentality or that way of thinking, of seeing yourself as a victim. Take responsibility for where you want to go. Look, I got 3 kids. I've got 3 kids your age. And my kids they're doing good. I'm watching them and they're doing well. But I see your generation and my heart just breaks because I see a generation with so much potential and what God wants to do in you and through you, but the world our enemy is hamstringing you. He's knocking you down as a generation. He is absolutely devastating your generation. Your generation is described in the workforce as the useless generation. And they're not wrong. But that's not what God wants for you. And I'm not saying you're useless. But there are people who stand out, and they really stand out. And I want to see you do that. It's such a waste of people's lives, of an entire generation. I'll be quite honest, my generation has blown it. You look at COVID, what we did, and I was appalled at my generation. I was like, you're a bunch of losers. What are you doing to this coming generation? Like, seriously, making them wear masks, trying to force them to take these shots, closing schools on them, closing churches when they need the support. When people your age needed the most spiritual support ever, pastors close their churches. I'll be careful what I say. The good thing is we're in a church here where you didn't close. Your pastor and people got into trouble because of it, which is what they should have been doing. but my generation failed you. And have you been given a raw deal in a lot of ways? Yeah, the economy stinks. I told you the stats at the beginning. It does. We've got governments who they don't care about you. Just to be honest, they don't care about you. They want your vote, and that's as far as it goes. As much as they might say, oh, we care about you, we blah, 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 they don't give a rat's behind about you. They don't. But you didn't create the problems that you're dealing with, but you're going to have to fix them. You're going to have to deal with them. So God is calling you to stand up and be strong and do what you need to do, even when people my age and older haven't, when we have let you down. What you've been taught in schools is horrific. It's a waste of time. The fact that the OECD could say that you are 2 years behind as a generation in math, that's a travesty. We spend tons of money on education. We've failed you somehow. We should have been preparing you for what's ahead, and we haven't in many cases. Hopefully you've had parents who have stepped in and done some of that. Fantastic. And some of you have. Some of you I've talked to, I'm like, man, you've got good parents. It's easy to tell. And you've made good choices. That's easy to tell. Secondly, spend time with strong people, with people who are like-minded. Surround yourself with good people. Now, do you want to reach out to people? Of course we do. Do we want to reach out to people who don't know Christ? Yes. To people who do know Christ and maybe aren't living the way they should? We want to reach them. But surround your closest people around you should be ones who inspire you and challenge you to be better, to always be reaching to be more, to be growing, to continuing to get stronger. If they see you going, poor me, they need to be the ones to go, stop it, snap out of it, come on, here's what you need to do. You need friends like that. Surround yourself with people like that. Learn discipline. Read the scriptures. Spend time in the Bible. Discipline yourself to spend time praying, hearing from the Lord. It's not easy. I love opening the Bible and God speaks to me, flip it open. Lord, speak to me, boom. He's never done that somehow. It's never worked that way. It's hard sometimes hearing from him. And the longer I've walked with him, the harder it gets sometimes. Because it's like a parent and a child. The older they get, the less we do for them directly. We give them what they need, and then we love seeing them going out and doing what we've asked them to do and what we've prepared them to do. God's always with us, but he's going to always treat us like little children? No, he's not. So learn to discipline yourself. Here's a good one. I saw an interview. How much time do I have? 3 minutes. Someone said Aaron goes over a lot, doesn't he? Perfect. I like Aaron. We'll do an Aaron maybe this. Unless you want me to quit. You can walk out if you want to quit. I did it again. What was I saying? Pardon? Oh, yeah. Okay, thanks. You were paying better attention than I was. Saw an interview. They were interviewing girls in their early 20s, ladies in their early 20s, attractive women. I don't even know where this was, in North America somewhere. And they said, what turns you off in a guy? Universally, the response was gaming. Guys who are on their phones all the time. Guys, learn, and women too, learn to discipline yourselves when it comes to this or when it comes to gaming, whatever it is. It was either Aaron or Blake talked about porn a little bit. That'll destroy you from the inside out. If you listen to the interviews of 2 of the 3 founders of Facebook, not Zuckerberg, he's a bit of a dork, but don't trust him. He's lying what he's saying now. He should be a politician, eh? They said in these interviews, they were very candid, and they said, we designed Facebook deliberately to addict people and steal their time, and we regret it now. We see what it's doing. Steve Jobs, there's a reason his kids could not use an iPhone or an iPad. Yeah, but he came up with them. He sold them to hundreds of millions of people. Yeah, but his own kids weren't allowed to use. That should tell us something. Well, I'm smart. I can use this. Really? Because one of the complaints that 40% of employers have is that your generation doesn't know how to use technology in the workplace. Boy, I can use a phone. Oh, good. Yeah, so can a 2-year-old as they're in the stroller with their parents right now. I see them scrolling. Big deal, you can use an app. Put it down and learn something useful. This can be a great tool, or this can hamstring your entire life. You're going to make the choice. Some of the most wealthy and biggest companies have hired some of the smartest people and pay them massive amounts of money to addict you. What that means, they're trying to steal your time and your life. Why would you let somebody like that steal your life from you? They are trying to take you down like that. They don't like you, they don't love you, they don't care about you, they want your money and the time that you have because you'll generate them more money. Control this thing, don't ever let it control you. So become disciplined. And the last one was get off your phone. I kind of transitioned into that without realizing it. The third tool is walk fast and carry a broom. Now, for those of you who are in construction, what do you think I might be alluding to here? Walk fast and carry a broom. Yeah, who said that? Yeah, exactly. There's a guy I've coached, and it's not even 12. I can tell a short story. He's every third word starts with F, like literally. He's incredibly inventive and talented in using that word. The inflections that he can use it to mean almost anything. And when my kids were small, he'd call me, and they were in the truck with me, and I'd put it on speakerphone deliberately, because I know what his conversation was going to be like. I love him. He's a good friend, and he wants faith, and we're talking about faith things, about Christ a little bit. But he would start in the conversation, he'd go blah, 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 F, blah, blah, F, F, F. And he'd realize my kids were, at first their eyes were like, boing. But then I'm like, this is Devin. And my son knew who Devin was, and he's like, oh, okay. And Devin would be, when he'd realize my kids were, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm like, no, it's all good. I wanted my kids to know that he's a good man in many ways. Just because he swears, using that word especially, because it's one of the ones that good people don't use that word, do we? That, hey, Dad is quite comfortable around him. He treats him like anybody else. Dad's not intimidated by that language. He's not threatened by it. He's not offended. Oh, okay. So my kids, when they hit the workforce, they understand. Okay. Yeah, this is a part of life. It's a part of people in a broken world. Doesn't mean that people are stupid, or that they're terrible, or that they're evil, or that I should be offended by them or somehow threatened by them. Not at all. And again, I have no idea how I got there. Oh gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh, carry a broom. That's him. Devin's, when he supervises in a commercial construction company, he watches guys and women walk across a job site. He'll stand back and watch. He is the most productive person I have ever met in my life, I think, on a construction site. Unbelievable. He is incredibly demanding of the people who work for him. He will watch. And he watches someone who walks kind of dragging their feet, and you know what I mean. When you're tired and you're wearing steel toes, your feet feel heavy. He's like, yeah, no, they're not a keeper. Someone who walks with a purpose, he's like, we'll keep that one. Pick up a broom means simply this. When you finish something that somebody's asked you to do, the typical response is kind of like this or like this. Now, pick up a broom and do something. Why I say pick up a broom is because you're not going to offend anybody by sweeping the floor on a construction site. In an office, you're not going to offend anybody by picking up garbage around the office on the floor, or by cleaning up the kitchen when people have left their dishes out, or whatever. Asking somebody, how can I help you? What can I do? You look busy. Is there anything I can help you with? Pick up a broom means stepping up and not waiting to be told every little thing that you need to do. If you don't know and you've done all that stuff, ask somebody, what should I be doing? I'm finished what I've done. Oh, do this. Oh yeah, I've already done that. Oh, can you restack this? I've already taken care of that. It doesn't matter where you work, what you do. You could be a nurse, you could be a doctor, you could be a teacher. Pick up a broom and walk. Walk fast. In other words, walk with a purpose, have a purpose. My son was working for one of my clients. It was a construction company, actually. And he was walking across the yard, and I watched him. And he was kind of dragging his feet a little bit. And I said, you know what? When you're walking, walk fast, and don't, when you get there, stop and think about what you got to do. While you're walking, be thinking about what you need to do when you get there. Be planning what you're going to be doing, thinking ahead. What should I do? How should I do it? What do I have to do when I get there? As believers, that should be us. We should be the ones who stand out that way in the workforce. That's how we bring Christ into the workforce. When we are the ones that people go, holy cow, I've never seen anybody do that, or I haven't seen that for years. That's where you are going to start to gain the credibility and somebody's attention, and to be able to, at some point, to tell them about Christ. Until you do that, you're not going to have the credibility to talk about Christ to them. They're not going to want to hear it. Now it's important. Oh, I can give you. No, I don't have time. Yes, I do. No, it's lunch. I'm getting hungry too. It's important to ask, what do I do with my life? It's a good question. It's a great question. What do I do? A better question is, how do I do it? The answer to that is easy, wholeheartedly as unto the Lord.